Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryankaravavahai, Tejasvidavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so over to Dilip and then later Veena. Dilip, you are doing which text?
Harivam Swamiji. I am doing Upadesha Saram.
Upadesha Saram. Okay. Okay, wonderful. So I would like all of us to listen very keenly to what he has to say and also ask him questions when he's doing this Shadlinga Vichara. We'll try and keep our questions to the end. But if there is something that we need to clarify immediately, then we will try and do that. Okay? So over to you, Dilip.
Harivam Shri Guru Namaha. Swamiji, I will first start with 4 lessons, then I will try to tell where I have fit in the Shadlingas as possible. This is my approach. Okay. Harivam. Like our main goal is moksha. So Upadesha, we can check how Upadesha Saram teaches or gives us knowledge of moksha. So the Upadesha Saram, Ramana Maharshi begins the Upadesha Saram with text that the karma phala, the actions we do for fulfillment, they are initially we begin with they are not param, they are not the ultimate, they are controlled by Ishvara. So when the actions are limited, means since our goal is moksha, we are seeking freedom from limitations. So we try to do all our actions by expecting this so and so action gives me this satisfaction. So by this thought is negated by Ramana Maharshi in the first verse, saying that Ishvara is a karma phaladata. So actions or karma themselves is insentient. Then how is it superior? Then again we move on to the next verse, saying that even the karma, the action done without proper knowledge leads to patanam, or for a spiritual seeker, one who is because the more we delve into the samsara of likes and dislikes, we get more entangled by it. So now here the Upadesha Saram tries to like take us from this attitude to the ultimate attitude, like how to seek knowledge. So since our mind is not prepared in the stage 1, so first is we are taken to a stage where our mind is with a proper attitude to receive the ultimate knowledge. So since actions themselves are not the binding or releasing factor, it is our attitude. So actions or karma done with Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, saying that the I doership and I enjoyership is the main thing. So doing it with an Ishvara Arpana Buddhi gives us a relative mental shanti, the relative peace. There, then again, Ramana Maharshi tries to dissect the whole thing into different sets. Like karma is divided into 3 categories. It is categorized into 3 parts: physical actions, karika, then actions done verbal, then mental actions. So then how to do a physical action? So physical action here is where we get the worship of Ashtamurti. Ashtamurti is Panchabhuta, Surya, Chandra and all the Jiva Rashi. So service to this Ashtamurti, this is related to physical action, is the service to the Ishvara. How is this? Means doing what is to be done is a service to the world that we can do. Like what actions are supposed to be done by me, this action is to be done. This is the service to Ishvara in terms of physical action. Then we go into verbal, like chanting and these things. So here again, Ramana Maharshi suggests as the best thing. A chanting done with louder noise, instead of that, a chanting which is done inside our lower voice is much better. So if we observe this pattern, it is slowly taking us into a relatively we are turning inwards rather than going outward. Then again, we go into mental actions like meditation, dhyana. So here, dhyana initially it is suggested that instead of a broken or a discontinuous thought, it is better to dwell on a or contemplate on a thought that in a continuous pattern. So it is much better. And it is here we get a Mahavakya saying that instead of thinking Ishvara other than us, Soham iti aso, I am Ishvara. If that thought is much better than the other thought. And then we again we progress into this saying that again we go to the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So all these upasanas are higher. So the main purpose of all these upasanas is to help to mind abide itself instead of only a relatively peaceful mind is eligible for the knowledge. So this is the first step. So if we check, the upakrama starts beginning only. So introduction. So if we are doing actions for whatever we are doing for fulfillment, if the actions we are doing, it is not the one which is going to fulfill us. This is what it is said. Like karma is jadam, like actions itself are incentive. Then what is it that is permanent and what is it leads to us? So here, as our teaching has already begun. So then again we go into teaching main upakrama. Sorry, Swami, I have divided. I found two upakramas because already teaching has begun, and again from the 15th verse, the main teaching about self has begun. So once the mind is resolved, Ramana Maharshi said, a resolved mind again comes back, whereas a destroyed mind will not come back. Here, if we see the resolved mind, actually, if we take, there is no destroyed mind or resolved mind. It is the attitude. Like whenever we sleep, or whenever the whole Jagat goes into a sleep, or we can say destruction, whole Jagat goes into sleep. Again, if we wake up or if we come back again, then again we continue to be in samsara. We are not free there. But like even if we take a desire, like I want to achieve something, that thing, if I will be happy continuously, then that is moksha. But our case is not that. Even after achieving something, it will rest for some time, again we continue our action. So our teaching starts here, how after destroying the problematic mind, that is where our teaching, destruction of problematic mind or the ignorance, that happens only with jnanam. So
I'm going to interrupt you, okay?
yes,
I'm going to interrupt you. Just repeat that thing about destruction of that mind. What was that you said?
okay, a resolved mind uh, can come back to the samsara, whereas a destroyed mind can never come, it will never rise again. So to put it clear, we are in samsara because of our ignorance. We take ourselves to be limited. So we think that so and so action sets us free, so and so desire gives us fulfillment. So if we take that, if desires are fulfilled, or it is, if a temporary thing without jnanam is fulfilling us, it will come back again. Like when we sleep, we get all the problems, but when we are asleep, there is no mind. At the time, the mind is in resolved state. So again, even when when the creation goes into again Hiranyagarbha, like initial stage, if we are not like said in Gita, we will be in deep sleep. But when again all the beings come, our karmas or karma phala from previous creations again will take us to samsara. So the, to put it simple, our only jnanam leads to moksha is what being said here, Swamiji. Only a destroyed mind. A mind will get destroyed. Destruction is not, I don't think it's the correct word. I feel that I don't know what to use that word, because in future we are going to study more about what is mind, what is then. So can I continue, Swamiji? So it is said that one who knows or one who gains this knowledge, there is nothing else to be gained. There is nothing else to be done to fulfillment, because this knowledge itself is whole. This is said in the 14th verse. So we can take this as a arthavada. We can take this as a prize, because all the efforts we do, because we feel ourselves very limited. We want to achieve or we want something. But here it is said those who gain this knowledge, there is nothing else to be done. So here our teaching begins from the 15th verse, 16th verse.
Okay, I'm just clarifying
With
one thing. You said that is Arthavada. Yeah?
praise.
Okay, okay. I will come back on this point later. Yeah?
Okay. Then, uh, then here one more thing is what is a vision of Ishvara, saying that when we see there is a seer and seen difference is I am not, to put it simple, I am not what experience. Like if there is some experience, I am not that. I am the one who experiences everything. There is nothing that I cannot be experienced. That is what the next verse is. Because with the self knowledge, the mind ceases to see the seer seen difference. Because there is only Eka Atma. That is the vision of Ishvara, and that is the vision of reality too. That is the next verse we are having. Then here is where we go to the, then we question, we are talking about this mind. So what is this mind? The mind is the collection of thoughts. So like I am uh, presenting what I have learned. So since I am having this presenting thought, I am presenting. So whatever mind I am having is a collection of different thoughts. So the one who inquires into this I thought uh, can find the self knowledge, or their inquiry ends there when after finding the I. So after discovering the root, that is the I thought depend on, any thought depend on I thought alone. So here I thought is the ignorance. Like what here is very important. I can go slow. Like here whatever we take I, this is a pratibimba of actually my real life. Because here in the samsara I take myself to be very limited. All my perspectives, all my actions, everything is dependent on what I think I am is. So if I go to this I thought, I can find myself. Inquiry into this I thought vanishes the ego, ahankara. This is self-inquiry. When after this, when the ignorance is destroyed, consciousness alone shines. This is the real meaning of I. When we remove the ignorance, when we remove the ignorance, when we know our true nature, so then consciousness alone shines. Here we are beginning another thing, that is we are going to learn about the Swarupa of Atma. Till this time we are saying that this knowledge is great, this knowledge presents us this knowledge sets us free. So then it is said that when we find that who I am going to know that my real nature. So what is my real nature? Here is another upakrama sets in. Like here now the following verses, the self is explained as Sat and Chit. How the Atma, I am Sat, I am ever existent. How I am Chit, how I lend conscious, all the Indriyas gain consciousness from the self. Only in the presence of self, or only in the presence of a Chaitanya, that is consciousness, everything functions. That is what presented in the next verse. Again, here one more thing is how to discover self, knowing that Aham ekasat, I alone is the reality. Self alone exists. Like whole world, including all the Chetana, Achetana, like all the movable, immovable, there is nothing unconscious. Everything either derives consciousness or is only consciousness. And there is no destruction. This is from Sakta aspect. Even if the creation goes, if Maya Shakti is there, everything, the self or I exist. Only based on my existence, everything appears or everything exists. Self alone exists, and all the layers like our panchakoshas, and our body is built by panchabhutas. Uh, all these layers are, all the experiences are negated. And one more important thing that we learn here is existence is consciousness, and I am that consciousness. We cannot objectify existence from consciousness. Like whenever I see an object, here is one more important teaching. Like when I see an object, a person or anything, actually the knowledge and the existence is in me, because only since I am in existence, the whole thing appears to, or it is existence. And existence is consciousness. Since I am lending consciousness to everything, or the consciousness is a whole, so that is my real nature. So existence is consciousness, and we cannot objectify such it, because when we try to objectify, oh, this is my attribute. Like if you say that the attribute of Atma is Sat, the attribute of Atma is Chit, it is not possible, because there have to be another experiencer. It is not possible. So I cannot experience myself. But whereas I am the whole, I experience everything. That is one more thing. And moving on to the next verse, it is said that the, about Jivatma, Paramatma, I can. It is said that the only difference between me and Ishvara is only in the sense of body-mind complex. Uh, the Ishvara is Brahman and I am Brahman. So only in terms of body-mind complex. If we think that does Ishvara have a body or mind, we can say that the whole Jagat, whole me, or everything around me is a manifestation or Ishvara himself. So I am Brahman, I am consciousness, and Ishvara doesn't have a different consciousness. It is me and Ishvara the same thing. But only thing is Ishvara manifests as Jagat and my Antakarna and everything. So here is one more thing. Verses are explaining my nature. They all come under logic and reasoning. Upapatti Swamiji. All these verses, like how self, what is the nature of self, what we cannot say, what the whole teaching. It is explaining how I am Sat, how I am Chit. So these all come under Upapatti. Then we can say that anything that is repeated is actually the important message. Here in Upadesanam, we can see that the self is non-dual, Ekam Sat or Eka Atma, because it is said that there is only self. We cannot say even one self. There is only self. This idea is repeated multiple times. Like if we see the 27th verse and other verses previously also, the idea is that only self is there. Only the Sat Chit Atma is there. It is there. And the most important thing is there is no arrival of Jnanam. Like uh, I have learned from one more teaching of Puja Swamiji, I can relate to this one. Like if anything that comes actually goes. So if knowledge has to come, then it will go. But actually we are full. There is the whole knowledge is in us. The only thing is the ignorance came. So it has to, ignorance have to leave. So but here I have one more doubt. If ignorance leaves, that is knowledge. If it is ignorance is there, knowledge is not there. That doubt I have from here. Okay. Then what is the, here again it gives on the what is the nature of self, Atma. Atma is again such is limitless, Ananta, and it is consciousness. So again one more Arthavada comes here. The Jiva who realizes, who knows the self, continues to live as a Brahman in this life only. So he gains, we can see the word Parama Sukham. He gains a complete happiness. This is again we can fit into Arthavada. Then the concluding verse is, this knowledge alone is the greatest tapas. So this is the param. This knowledge is the whole thing. We can see it with matching with first verse. First verse begins actually with question: what is the param? What is the ultimate thing that sets us? So here it is saying that this knowledge is the ultimate thing that sets us free. That's it from Hari.
Ah, okay, very nice. Dilip, very, very nice. Super. Very well done. I have 2 or 3 points to say, but I want to check with the group if they want to add or clarify anything.
One thought that comes to mind is on the Vidya bit. So this is we say it's anadikala pravritti. So as long as there's no beginning to avidya. So if I understood correctly, I think there was a statement about avidya coming and knowledge existing. So avidya is always there right from the start, and it is knowledge that, you know, when we say Vedanta, it is avidya removal really. So the teaching of the self.
Okay, anyone else? Anything to clarify or contest what he has said? Okay, let me say a couple of things. Arthavada. Okay, both the verses you have mentioned are not Arthavada. They are fact. Okay, the first thing you mentioned was that when the person knows the truth, there is nothing to be done. Nothing to be done for the sake of security. That has to be understood well. Nothing to be done does not mean that no action to be taken. I think that's how you looked at it, and that's why you called it Arthavada. Okay, Arthavada is exaggeration, either praise or criticism to highlight something. Then the other point you said was Parama Sukham. Just towards the end, you mentioned that that is also Arthavada. That's not Arthavada at all. That is a fact. Okay, that the person has Parama Sukham. That is definitely a fact. Otherwise, why would we want to pursue this? It doesn't make sense. Okay, so both of those statements are not Arthavada. Then you mentioned about Panchakosha being layers, and I just wanted to get your understanding on that. How do you say Panchakosha are layers?
Like if I take my physical body, the physiological layer, the psychological layer. So in that aspect, I have said maybe. Like I don't remember the five names, but there are 5 layers. So like physical layer is made up of the Panchabhutas, then psychological layer, like including our Antakarna, and
So when
based
you
on
say layers, one second. So layers meaning one on top of the other?
no, for me, like I don't know the correct word. Like I cannot say that on the top of this physiological layer there is a inside one mental layer. I cannot say that they are held together. I think so. Different. We instead of saying different layers, like assembly of different objects. Like if a machine is assembled with different objects, and if I lend the consciousness, or if my presence is there, it would run. In that aspect, I have thought for music.
Okay. Let me check with the group. Any suggestions on how this kosha can be translated or how it can be explained?
And one small point I noted here is I think this is a slight difference in presentation between how Swami Parmathamji sometimes translates as opposed to like Puja Swamiji presenting the koshas. So I think if I'm not incorrect, Swami Parmathamji uses the layers of personality as an expression for the
Okay.
project.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe that's where Tulip may have to come. But the way I look at it is these are like different identifications. So, for example, if I have a body-based identification, if I identify as, if somebody calls me fat, thin, tall, short, this and that, if my identity is related to my body, and that is under my question. If it's related to my emotions, mind, and so on, then it's none of my in that way. So that is how I look at it. What you identify as, the anatma that you identify as forms the basis for the identity.
Yeah. Okay. Well said. So Dilip, one thing to clarify, the moment you say layer, it creates a physical entity in our minds. Okay. And therefore we may say, because the word kosha is used, that's why the word layer comes up, because it is kosha means achadavat, that which covers. So it covers our understanding. Okay, that's all that it covers, nothing else. So we can say maybe identification based error or something to that effect. Okay, identification based error at 5 levels, you can also say. I mean, again, even when you say level, the physicality of it comes up, but it is slightly less than layers. Okay, is that okay? um, let's see. So you did upakrama, upasamhara, upapatti, then
Yes, ma'am.
repetition you did. Okay.
Okay.
Huh?
Yes,
Arthavada,
ma'am.
I don't think there is much Arthavada in this. Okay.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
are, so we have to be also prepared. There will be texts that not all the Shadlingas are there.
Hmm.
Okay. And I think you did a very good job because you didn't try to fit in everything. Of course, you ended up saying the summary of Upadesha Saram, which was very nice for all of us to refresh our minds. Uh, One last question to you. How did you find the whole exercise of doing this?
The whole exercise, I learned many things from you. Like, I'm not saying what I learned, but I'm trying to say, like, when we take Gita, so there is going to Shastra, we can find a very, very, very single pattern everywhere, though it might appear like first try to prepare the unprepared mind, saying that whatever we desire is not false. Like initially it goes to and say that yeah, you are on correct path. Then slowly we are taken, it is Ishvara's grace, like we are taken where we actually want to go. So this whole exercise, like when I was doing, actually I wrote 4 to 5 times the whole thing. Like every time when I contemplate on one thing, I feel that no, this should be much better. Then today, evening also I thought a lot. Then I felt that okay, over I'll just revise once. So in class, whatever I get, I will whatever I have learned, let me present rather than going to a pre-structured thing. So I have noted like Mahavakya, like Soham Ityasu, and other the basic captures. But the whole exercise helps us to actually we cannot directly how our ancestors or how our rishis wanted us to think. Like the self is available to all. It is not limited. The whole thing, there is nowhere we can find any cursing, or there is nowhere we find any insecurity. That like whatever we are going to learn, it is leading us to something that sets us free. That this is a not challenging, but it is very fulfilling. Like whatever I am learning, yes, this is what I have correlated. Like this is what I have heard in class. This feeling totally we try to be very alert while doing this. This is my experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Okay. Over to Bina now. Yeah, we have about 20 minutes.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hari Om Swamini ji, can you hear me? Okay. First of all, I'm very sorry that I'm doing it without Nirmala, the presentation. Yeah, because to be very honest, we did not work as a team. She was traveling, and so I did email to her a couple of times to ask her how we go about. And to answer your question that you asked, Dilip, in the end, I felt thoroughly confused and thoroughly, what should I say, when I started doing it on my own. Because first of all, the Shadalinga was not clear to me as to what I need to do. And so she was nice to send me, a scan of the Panchakam, which has the Shadalinga. But to tell you honestly, I was, not very clear at all. So I then emailed Prashant, and like always, he's been very, very supportive. So he said, go ahead and do a summary. You need not worry about, what you're going to present. Just go ahead, because I wanted to do my homework very badly. And, since it was something as a review of whatever, but I'm sorry. So I'm doing it on my own, whatever summary I have done. And also, well, I did it as, like you mentioned last time, as a scenic approach. I did not try to see where it was fitting into the Shadalinga, but I knew there was a flow. And I was supposed to do chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. And for me, it was a retrospect of before and after. Having gone through a challenging situation, what it would have been if I did not have the knowledge, and what it is having this knowledge of this wonderful chapter was really, really in retrospect. So I really gained a lot from putting it to my personal challenge that came along. So I will, give a brief of whatever I've done as the verses of chapter 2. Verses 1 to 10 is Arjuna's despondent condition. I was exactly in this condition at that time. And so Arjuna continues in his state of dejection. His personality is destroyed by his overwhelming emotions and seeing his near and dear ones on the battlefield. Assuming a false sense of renunciation, he argues that he would rather live on alms than slay the noble elders. Then verses 11 to 30 is indestructibility of the embodied, where the self is eternal, indestructible. The wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead. The bodies enveloping the self are ephemeral. They have a beginning and an end. The indwelling self remains eternally the same. Verses 31 to 40, your duty to act. Krishna explains to Arjuna the importance of performing his duty. A Kshatriya is fortunate to have an opportunity to fight a righteous battle. Abandoning such an opportunity will only incur sin. In victory, a Kshatriya enjoys sovereignty over the world. If slain, he will only gain heaven. And therefore, Krishna advises Arjuna to arise from his paralyzed state and fight the battle without concern for the results. Up till now, this is Sankhya, up to verse 38, and which is knowledge. And thereafter, Krishna turns towards Karma Yoga. The practice of which will eradicate his Arjuna's deepest fear that he has. Verses 41 to 44 is desire-ridden actions. And this is talking about the mechanical rituals and praising the ritualistic portion of the Vedas. And despite regular performance of the rituals, their attention in life remains focused on enjoying the pleasures and powers in the world. Such people possess a vacillating mind, unable to concentrate and meditate on the Supreme Self. Verses 45 to 53, desireless actions lead to self-realization. The Vedas deal with the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, and explains the process of evolution from tamas to rajas to sattva. Krishna advises Arjuna to free himself from the endless pairs of opposites that plague the world and rise to the state of sattva. An enlightened person remains ever in supreme peace. In that state, he will find even the Vedas as redundant to him as a pond would be in a flooded village. Krishna induces Arjuna to act steadfastly towards the goal of realization without worldly attachment and remain balanced in success or failure, keep his mind calm and composed and act dynamically towards the higher ideal. Continuing on the path of yoga, one sheds the vasanas and desires of the mind, and an introverted mind alone can meditate and realize the Supreme Self. Then verses 54 to 72 is the Sthita Pragya, or the description of an enlightened person. Arjuna asks Krishna to describe the enlightened person, what happens to him internally, how he expresses himself, how does he contact the external world. And last 18 chapters give a exposition of a self-realized person who, reveling in the self, he stays free from egocentric attachments and desires. He is like a river which has entered the ocean and reached that supreme state and merged with eternity. Now, Swamini ji, I just would do my take-home points, with my my challenging situation and before and after. Before, I would have been completely lost with no knowledge that I would have, and then get emotionally hijacked and, just go helter-skelter and be a doubting Thomas. If I asked somebody advice, I would doubt whatever was given to me. But now when I see in retrospect, I did take advice from my guru, and you know it. Yeah. So in retrospect, I see that, okay, this knowledge really gave me that balance and that centeredness to be able to um, deal with that, keeping in mind the knowledge that I had. So a little bit of some take-home points. Can I go ahead? When I am confused, sad, and dejected, my mind takes over. And so control of the senses and mind is prescribed as a stepping stone to spiritual progress, as these faculties have a natural tendency to engage with objects. When the mind engages in the world, it is constantly subjected to attachment, likes and dislikes, and anger, because the external factors are not under one's control. To realize one's true nature as Atman within, it is necessary to exercise control over the mind by restraining its tendency to do what it likes. What we think determines what happens to us. So if we want to change our lives, we need to stretch our minds. The world is as the mind perceives it. If the mind is given freedom to do what it wants, only constant restlessness will come as a result of desires that arise one after the other. This prods the individual to action to fulfill his desires, giving rise to frustration and anger when they are not fulfilled. Even when he is able to realize his desires, the joy that he enjoys is fleeting, and thus the quest for worldly joys only subjects the person to further bondage by his actions. To become free from this quagmire which traps man is the objective of the spiritual quest. And the equanimity of the mind that a jnani has as a consequence of constant abiding in the self makes him tranquil and peaceful. So with this knowledge, I can move ahead. And but if I am a man of action, then karma yoga can be practiced with bhakti and with kaushalam. And with this knowledge in the background, doing my actions as dedicated to the Lord with dharma and receiving the fruits as prasada will help me to gain wisdom and be a man of steady wisdom. That's all.
Great. So wonderful effort, wonderful effort.
Swamini ji, I don't know where it goes. in the upakarma or whatever. I mean, really being honest, but I knew that
Yeah.
there's a flow and I wanted to put it in retrospect of a situation before I would have had this knowledge and after. So I just attempted, and I'm sorry I'm doing it without Nirmala. I think she has done it in her own way. So thank you for giving me this chance to present my
Yeah.
thing.
I would like to give you another chance to present along with Nirmala.
Yes.
Okay, because yeah.
Yeah, because
Um,
after the last satsang, I got an email from her asking me whether I had done. I said I've done a summary, and now I don't want to confuse myself anymore because I've just done this and being very true to whatever I have understood. So I cannot now even think of the Sanskrit words and look for it. So I'll just present this. So yeah, I will try and with her learn more as to how it is done.
See, we are all learning,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And there are quite a few errors in what you have said. And therefore, I want to suggest that you do, sit with her again. I mean, whatever you're discuss it and then present. So then I can, say more because anyway, it's the same topic, second chapter. But some of the words that you use, is it Parthasarthi stuff? Is it Vedanta treatise?
No,
Pujya Swamiji's words, and I believe you
no.
are referring
Yeah, the
to
words
Gita
are
Master
mine.
D.
Maybe it is like a conditioned, conditioned words that have like kind of got stuck. So I
Yeah.
kind of use those. But
Okay.
can you please tell me some of the points that you think?
Yeah. So for like, I mean, I'll just mention two or three. There are many I have noted. One is this personality being destroyed. Okay, you started out saying that. I don't know. Arjuna's personality was not destroyed at all. Okay. Then also that this he was addressing the deepest fear of Arjuna did not have any fear. He is a warrior. He didn't have any, so I don't know what fear you're talking about. Then also this desire, there's nothing wrong. You said that you must not do what the mind wants. I don't see what is wrong with that. As long as it's in line with dharma, definitely do what the mind wants. I mean, because so then again, see these words, I'm very, very uh, I want to emphasize that words create understanding. Okay. And so we cannot afford to use words that reflect incorrect understanding. Okay, this is, I'm not only telling you, but I'm telling the whole group. And therefore, since I take responsibility for the words I use, I will take responsibility for the understanding that the words create. So therefore, we have to be very, very careful. I heard attachments a lot, worldly attachments and things like that. Again, these are not words I use, Puja Swamiji uses, so I don't know where that came from. Also, the state of sattva. So the knowledge is not about the state of sattva. Then I saw some introverted mind. Okay, I don't know what that mind is really. Egocentric attachment, merging with eternity, supreme state. So all these are all red herrings actually. These are, because there's no merging, there is no state, there's no state of sattva. So from where all of this has come, and that's why I wondered. I gave you the benefit of doubt, and therefore I wondered whether you referred to something else to prepare this. You know.
No, I think, like I said, some words just have stuck there. So even when I'm writing, even if I want to think otherwise, I tend to, maybe like the word attachment. I would not know anything else to use immediately for that word. So it comes as if conditioned, or if it is
So we decondition it. You know,
yeah,
so we don't make
I will,
excuses for
yeah,
our conditions.
yeah,
Yeah. So I
I
mean,
will
I'm
try
totally
and work
alive
on
with.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if
Yeah,
you
I've
think that
understood
there
what
is a
you're saying.
word, yeah, if there is a word that's problematic, then think about it. You know, or you can
Yeah,
refer to. I believe you have the home study thing.
yeah,
So you can refer to it. But I mean, this I will not. I don't want to sound too harsh, but it's not acceptable. You know, these kinds of words are just not acceptable. You know, so we want to be alert to all of this.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be careful about that, Swamini ji. Yeah,
sure,
in
sure.
future. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. But otherwise, very good effort, and also like the the way you split the verses. So it's just top line, okay? Upar se top line stuff is good. Is good. It could have done with more elaboration, but like I said, you will present again with Nirmala. So I look forward to that. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think we have much time for another presentation. It's 8:58. Any other things people want to say or clarify?
Yeah, Swamiji. So this is very much reflecting to your and Binaji's Samvada right now that the words create a conditioning. And I remember there's this book of Pujya Swamiji's, it's called Pujya Swami Dayananda and his uniqueness in the Advaita Sampradaya or Vedanta Sampradaya, one of these two. And over
Yes.
there are so many references and so many different passages of Pujya Swamiji where he talks about certain words he actually deliberately avoids using, like a plague. For example, words such as supreme, words such as eternal. Like eternal is again a function of time. Whereas, if one says the self is eternal, one thinks that okay, it lasts for a long length in time, and it is actually the very basis of time. So every word creates a conditioning. And Samiji, this is probably a little off topic, but there was an interesting movie called Arrival, and over there, the premise was that there were a bunch of linguists, or maybe there was like one or two linguists who were greeting these aliens because they had a completely different language than ours. Their expressions were totally outside of our purview. And so, how do you actually start communicating with somebody who's a total alien? So, this could even be like a cultural alien, for example. Like, if you have to present Vedanta to somebody in a different continent who doesn't have that cultural exposure, what is the first place that you really start? And so, it was so interesting because they develop a sort of an interface where, like, a few symbols from the human front and a few symbols from the alien front, and they bring it together and they slowly start building some vocabulary. And then over time they find that the way in which these humans actually start learning the language of the aliens conditions their very approach and view of life, and their whole philosophy gets affected by that language that is presented to them by the aliens. So it's of course sci-fi, but it's actually based on this hypothesis. It's called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which was developed very much in tune to what you say, that language and the words that you use affect your understanding.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Anything else? Yeah, Bina, you're saying something. Can't hear you. Ah, okay. Okay. So we meet next week. Yeah. So Nirmala and Bina will present again, and then Prashant and Unnati as well. Soumya and Gunjan, I think let's aim for it. Okay, let's try and do 20 minutes. I think we should be, maybe we might have a slightly longer class, maybe 70 minutes or some such. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukh Abhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satkamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya, Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.